That's trained.
Denver for, yeah.
I think it like more.
It's hot. So very.
I don't know. Here, there, past.
Not really that bad.
Okay. Okay.
Have you ever been to Red House?
Personally.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
The amphitheater.
Would you gentlemen be willing to sign Virginia's running for city council?
Is this on the record? Yeah, we are.
Let's put it this way, it went up to the county, they recruited it. It's 5 minutes, so I guess it's okay.
Which position?
Position 3. There's 2 positions. There, it has nothing to do with area, region, where you live or what you think or anything like that, which is kind of strange. Seaside has the community all divided up, and you represent this section or that section.
Do you know which one Carl was running for?
What? It won.
Oh, good. Okay.
No, I consulted with Carl because I was told, okay, we'll take 1 more minute. Are you ready to go?
Not quite.
Okay.
Is Emerson missing?
Emerson, remember, was having cataract surgery or eye surgery, and so he did tell us he might be gone.
You're right.
So I do have an email on. He might join us, but our IT person here is.
Working on.
I don't even have a gap.
What am I? Chad used to it like that.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are.
Nothing at all.
No, that's okay. I don't need a gavel. I don't need a gavel.
Good looking guy though.
Thank you. Okay, no. Alright. I'm pretty much done. Okay, anytime when you're ready, please. Emerson, Tom, don't know what Ira is.
Oh, right, it's just. Or either that or it's separate.
Make sure that if you wanted to speak and you were not part of a public hearing that you signed in, please make sure your phone is turned off or it's on airport mode or something like that. Or silence. If you're an applicant, you're on the list, but if you're just wanting to talk for the heck of it, the sign up sheets are out the entrance.
Just one.
No, that's what I was saying, I'd like to, I've got it.
Well, it's very.
Oh, you're supposed to
Okay,
be a
that's
fan out.
fine, that probably doesn't need, that's generic one or something. Not on the agenda. Okay.
Okay. Are you set?
I'll let Aaron in and then I'm good.
Okay. Yep, who's Ira? Do we know Ira? Okay, and Emerson is not there, right?
Not so far.
All right. So it's,
All right, okay, we are recording.
so it's 6:02. I called meeting to order of the Gearhart Planning Commission, August 13th, 2026. The commission members are here except Emerson and staff here is Chad and Garrett. Thank you. Emerson, as you remember, was going to have eye surgery, cataract surgery today, and he asked to be excused. Do I have a motion to excuse Emerson? So Gregory moved, and Eric seconds, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Excellent, Emerson is excused. We have a consent agenda, the minutes from July 9th that have been corrected, you've all been sent those corrections. The financial report from July 30th and the correspondence from Tom Lori. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
I so moved.
Jennifer's moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Great, seconds it. Any discussion? Fine, do we have, all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, moving ahead, staff, Chad, what do you have to report to us today?
Nothing to report.
Nothing to
I
report.
haven't been looking at those last minutes, no.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I did say that this report last time took like 3 pages of paper. All right, Garrett, do you have anything to report to us?
No, I don't have anything to report either.
Okay, great. Commissioners, do you have anything to report today? Nothing from the commissioners. Do I have any comments from visitors today that would like to speak on something that is not related to the agenda?
I would just like to introduce myself when that time comes.
Oh, you're part of the public hearing, right?
No, I'm part of the subdivision,
That's part of the public hearing.
yes.
You'll get there. There's a whole procedure there, believe me. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of you. Okay, so no one out there has anything to say, right? Chad? Anyone this? Okay, awesome. All right. So, we will move into the public hearings. We have 2 public hearings tonight. I am going to read the disclosure statement. This will apply to both public hearings, so I will not repeat it twice. Here we go. All persons testifying shall be deemed parties to the application and must provide their name, full mailing address, if they wish to be notified of the decision, continuances, appeals, or other procedural actions required by the code. The city zoning code specifies applicable criteria to be relied on in making a decision. Those criteria and findings of fact are the city staff report. Public testimony shall be limited to those criteria and findings of fact or to other city or state land use standards that the person testifying believes apply to proposed land use action. Failure to raise an issue in person or in writing with sufficient detail to afford the hearing body and parties to the hearing an opportunity to respond to that issue precludes appeal to the city council or land use board of appeals or to seek damages in circuit court due to a condition of approval. Before the conclusion of the initial evidentiary hearing, any participant may ask the planning commission for an opportunity to present additional relevant evidence or testimony that was in the scope of the hearing. The hearing's body shall grant the request by scheduling a date to finish the hearing, a continuance to a time and date certain, or by leaving the record open for additional evidence or testimony. So I will open the hearing first on file 26-03-SD subdivision request for property located 4043 Highway 101 North, further described as tax max 61003BE, tax lot 3800. The request is to subdivide the existing 2.73 acre parcel into 7 lots in the R1 low density residential zone. I was supposed to say that for a second. Do any of you need to declare conflict of interest and ex parte contact or personal bias? I visited the property or tried to visit the property, so I have to declare that.
I drove by the property.
You drove by the property.
Joe, bye.
All 6 of us drove by the property. Difficult to pull off on 101, easier on 11. All right, but that's totally within our scope. Okay, to the audience, are there any challenges to the commission's ability to make an impartial decision? I'm sorry, I promised. None? Okay. So first we will have the staff report, and Garrett, this is your chance.
All right, thank you, Chair. Good evening, Commissioners. Again, this is file 2603 SD. It's for preliminary approval of a 7-lot subdivision. So that means we have one existing lot and the final result will be 7 lots. So 6 additional lots beyond what we have right now in this location. A preliminary approval of a subdivision is where the main decisions are made and the main issues are worked out. After preliminary approval is granted, the applicant would work out final details within the bounds of what's decided on in this loan, and they'd request final approval. And the final approval is just a staff decision where we're making sure that everything that they've submitted in their final package conforms to what's decided on today. So it's called preliminary approval, but it's really the important approval. So just wanted to give you that context because we haven't done one of these in a while. Okay, so another sort of housekeeping item is that as with our partition application that we did this late spring, this development will result in residential development, and so we're only using clear and objective standards from our zoning ordinance and our subdivision ordinance. And we've noted in the staff report where a standard that would otherwise be applicable is not for that reason. And then the last housekeeping item is that we issued or attempted to issue an addendum to the staff report this evening based on some issues that we discovered with the road and water main maintenance agreement and easement documents in the last couple of days. And so I'll get to that a little bit in a few minutes. So turning to the actual proposal, like the chair said, 2.73 acres total, fronting on Highway 101 on the east side of the highway in the R1 zone. The existing house that is on this property is not proposed to be removed as part of the overall proposal, so that would remain for some time anyway as the dwelling on one of the 7 resulting lots. And all of the lots would be accessed by a new private road that comes off Highway 101 to the east and basically runs in a straight line perpendicular to Highway 101. So the proposal complies with the R1 zone standards. Page 4 of the staff report has a table that reviews each of the dimensional standards in the R1 zone. So you have minimum 10,000 square foot lots, net density of not more than 4 dwellings per net acre, things of that nature, and the proposal complies there. There's a locally significant wetland on the eastern half of the site, and the applicant has completed a draft wetland delineation. It has not been approved by the Oregon Department of State Lands yet, and their proposal is designed around the assumption that that delineation will be approved. So the way they've laid out their lots and their road is such that there would not be any need for grading or filling or vegetation removal or disturbance of the wetland as they have delineated it. So a condition of approval that would need to be satisfied before the final subdivision approval is that that delineation has to be approved by DSL as they have proposed it. The site's in the tsunami overlay zone, but the standards that limit uses and density there are moot essentially in the R1 zone. The tsunami overlay zone allows for density that's greater than the R1 zone allows. The site is in the airport hazard overlay zone, but It's far enough away from the airport that there wouldn't be any safety issues there. There's findings on page 6 and 7 addressing those. Turning to the road itself. So again, all the lots take access from the new private road, and a condition of approval is that ODOT has to issue an access permit to the applicant prior to final subdivision approval. We discuss an internal code conflict, primarily on pages 8 and 9, about required pedestrian improvements along the road. So we have our tsunami hazard overlay zone requires one kind of pedestrian improvement, either a curbed walkway or bollards to protect pedestrians. Our Article 4 transportation standards require a 5-foot landscaped buffer horizontally separating a walkway. That's referring to the transportation system plan standards. And so we can't require both of those, and our recommendation is to give the applicant the choice of which to use to comply. And so that would be something that we're recommending they address between preliminary approval and final approval. The standards, whichever route they pick, are objective enough that we feel comfortable reviewing that at the staff level at that time. So they would need to revise their plans to accommodate the pedestrian improvements that they choose to do within the bounds of these conditions. Getting closer to the end here, they're proposing a name, Gearhart Gardens Lane, that complies with the road naming standards, and ultimately the name has to be approved by City Council, but it goes through you as well. And then turning to the addendum related to the road and water main easement and maintenance agreements. The applicant and the city, we understand the applicant intends for the water main and the connections downstream of the water main through the meters, just to the end of the meters, to be maintained by the city and owned by the city. But the agreements that were submitted with the application didn't specify that. So they primarily just create private easements between the lot owners for road access. And they don't involve the city, that agreement and easement that was attached. So our addendum and the new condition of approval that's recommended there addresses these issues. It keeps the original condition number 8 that's in the staff report, but also adds that a road maintenance agreement the existing condition number 8 is about having a road maintenance agreement between the existing lot owners, or between the lot owners, the people that will own the lots. And then what we're adding here is a separate city approved easement and dedication mechanism that will result in the transfer of ownership of the water main to the city, with a complete legal description of the easement that covers the water main and its associated components. So that is something that we would need before final subdivision approval from the applicant, according to the recommended condition. And basically the city would take ownership of the main and be responsible for maintenance after it has inspected the work and accepted that it was built properly and that the city is ready to take responsibility for it. So the final recommendation in the staff report is for approval with the recommended conditions. The addendum that we issued tonight includes recommended motion language that ties this together. And I apologize, in that recommended motion language, I accidentally left a reference to an August 12th addendum in the script at the bottom of page 2 that should read August 13th. We were drafting this yesterday and I failed to update that date when we finished it today. So with that being said, I'm available to answer questions.
He's talking about you.
Okay, are you done? Yes,
I'm done.
no? You're done, okay. First, questions for Garrett. Do we have any questions for Garrett specifically about any of this report? Eric?
Garrett, do the recommendations require any contingency about the wetland delineation approval? I don't see them in there, are there?
Yeah, let me take a look and identify it specifically. Let's see here. Oh,
Let's see.
yeah, good catch.
Seems like it would be somewhere in between 4 and 8. Or maybe number 9 or something like that.
It would be before then.
Since the tentative plan one.
Yeah, you're right. So that's that is an error in the staff report. I'm just going to go up to the findings and check to see if they support the condition of approval, which would make it relatively easy for you to add, for us to add one here.
It's part of a tentative. Replace it.
Okay.
It's on the 10.
Sorry for the silence. I'm just taking a look at the plat now.
Give me a second.
It should be in there.
Yeah.
We always get more.
Be sure.
You could ask him. Yeah. Ask him.
Okay. So I apologize. When I was presenting to you, what I actually did was I mixed up some facts with the other subdivision application. So the applicant is, no applicant is required to get a delineation categorically, right? Like if you propose your site plan in a way where you can stay out of the wetland, as the city has already mapped it in its local wetland inventory, and you can stay more than 25 feet away from it, then you don't have to get a delineation. And so with this file 2603, the applicant is proposing to use the city of Gearhart's local wetland inventory, wetland boundary, and the 25-foot buffer that goes around it at this point, and that they would be staying outside of those areas with building, grading, vegetation removal. So in that regard, that is why the staff report did not recommend a condition of approval requiring DSL approval of a wetland delineation. So when I told you that the applicant had created a draft wetland delineation, that was incorrect. I was thinking of file 2604. And the proposal as it is right now would comply with the
Okay.
wetland overlay zone standards. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, it's your question.
Yes.
Did you have a question, Greg?
No, I think that just answered my
Okay.
question regarding on page 5 and 6.
Okay. I of course had some questions. When you, and this is kind of just a side note, you know, you're saying that the things that we have aren't clear, so you can't apply them. Or the objectives aren't clear. Is this something as planning commission we are going to make clear so they can be used in the future, or is this just the way it's going to stay?
Yeah, so the city we can do zoning code and subdivision ordinance amendments to replace some of the standards that, you know, in every other situation would work and would provide you with, you know, discretion to decide what's reasonable to implement those standards. So that's something that we as like a city can decide that we like a project that we want to take on, where it's like, hey, these standards, like they were valuable. We don't want to just have to ignore them when we're making decisions. So let's do some zoning text and subdivision text amendments to address that. So just to note that these standards have been, like this state law has been in effect for several years, and it hasn't come up much in Gearhart until this year, as we're doing our first partitions and subdivisions, at least since I became planner in 2022. Yeah, I think with like the experience I've had working with your code now, and that you've had processing a partition this spring and now 2 subdivisions, it could be, you know, that's like educational, and it could be worthwhile to talk about doing some amendments. Yeah.
Okay, so when you were talking, I wasn't sure what you're saying. We have a private street and a public street. As I understand, private streets have to be maintained by the people that use that street. Is that correct? And so the people that moved in, they could not expect the city to ever maintain that street. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. That's our
Okay.
intention, and we think that the easements, the existing agreement covers that well. Like that is an agreement that's between the current owner, so to speak, and the ultimate owners of those lots. Yeah.
Okay, and so my last question has to be, and I'd asked this the other day in the thing filed from the draft filed from the lawyer referred to Columbia River Highway 30, and I thought it was on 101. And I can see that now you're putting in here to put Highway 101 in parentheses following references to Columbia River Highway. Is it Highway 101 or Columbia River Highway?
So this is so my understanding is that historically the highway was referred to as Columbia River Highway, and that's how it came into being in legal descriptions for this area. And I'm not sure if we would need to ask a lawyer if we can specify like a change to a legal description like that. I don't know if we're allowed to. But I thought we could at least parenthetically provide that context so that a reader knows what's being referred to based on the nomenclature we use now.
Okay, I mean, yes, because we all think of Columbia River Highway 30 as going up east of Astoria on Columbia River,
Of
not
course.
down here.
Yeah.
Okay. Did I mark anything else? Okay. Okay. No, that's the extent of my questions. Okay, yes, Don.
Thank you. Garrett, I think this is applicable, especially tonight, but the net acre calculation. I don't really recall doing that. Is this a newer thing? Is this the part of the FEMA thing that we've been working on, or can you give us a little background on that?
Sure. So the R1, it's not part of the FEMA thing. So this is just language that we're implementing that's been in our zoning ordinance. So when you're creating a new lot through a subdivision or a partition, we have to implement the density standard that's listed in the R1 zone, which is not more than 4 dwelling units per net acre. And net acre is defined in the zoning ordinance in chapter 1. It's listed as acre comma net, just to make it a little harder to find. But there it describes that the way you calculate it is by removing the area of easements and roads and wetlands, for example, from the total property acreage. It hasn't come up because you haven't done subdivisions in a long time. And when somebody comes in to develop a piece of property or rezone, for example, or get a conditional use, you know, the net acreage is, we haven't had a situation where, like, before the planning commission, residential density is being increased in a sense where we have to implement that standard. If the density isn't being increased, then it's considered, you know, at worst, like a non-conforming condition, existing condition, if they don't meet the net density standard.
Is there a reason that it's, let's say, not applied to the individual lots as opposed to a collective group of lots? Also known as a subdivision, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, the reason I consider it like something that we wouldn't be able to implement, it would conflict with the minimum lot size standard in that regard. So 4 dwelling units per acre would actually, if that was applied to each lot, then each lot itself would also have to be larger than 10,000 square feet just on its face, right? Because an acre is greater than 40,000 square feet. So we take that to mean that the acreage, that it refers to the overall site. Yeah.
I haven't seen one since Carol was here, a subdivision. So it's been a long time.
Right.
Okay, anything else? All right, moving on. Now we will hear from the applicant. And please state your full name, your address. Your full name and your address. Yes.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Kerry Johnson. I live at 92080 John Gabriel Road over in Astoria. So I have been a home builder and I build homes throughout Clatsop County, and I've been doing that for about 25 years. So we put together a package for you that we believe fits well within what Gearhart is. Try to fall within the existing development code without getting outside of it. Stay away from the wetlands that are on site, and meet criteria largely. So I'm appreciative of the work that Director or Administrator Sweet has done and Garrett has done. I don't have any issues with the staff report. So I'm just here to answer any questions that you may have, and yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Carrie. I'm gonna ask that question. What about the walkway?
The walkway, sure.
It seems to be a sticking point.
Yeah, well, originally we had proposed that the existing roadway, that we would just make it wider to accommodate the walkway. There's only gonna be a couple houses on there. So our thought was that, well, let's just widen the road and kind of incorporate that, make sure people have enough width to, if they need to walk out of there, that there's plenty of road width. That's something that would be our preferred method. It doesn't really seem to make sense to me to put a bunch of bollards down the road to block, block cars from driving on that area. The preferred method would be to just delineate a stripe along that walkway and just widen the road and say, well, that's the walkway, this is the driving area, would make the most sense to me. Staff came up with a different conclusion that would separate that with a 5-foot landscape buffer, which does take up more of the lot area to do that. It's not impossible. I'm not gonna argue that point. It's not my preferred method, and I don't know that, in my opinion, if that's the best method, but people can have different opinions on that. So I'm not terribly conflicted by that, is what I'm trying to say.
Questions for Carrie from anyone, any commissioners? Yes, great.
Yes, John, just a question regarding the private road. I'm just trying to make sure I understand how it's extending into lot 6 and 7. I know it cuts off with the shaded area at the edge of lot 6. So is it your intention to have access to lot 7 or not to develop that due to the wetlands?
Depends on what a delineation would look like, whether or not a driveway would be, if we put a driveway through that or not. If we avoid, the access would be using a driveway if it's possible. So my intent is not really to do anything with that right now. It's just, but lot 6 would have its own driveway coming off the end of that road as well.
Okay, then if you choose to develop 7, then you can just extend.
Yeah, extend a driveway through lot 7 if it's possible.
Okay.
Carrie, Dawn, Russ? Jeff? No?
I-
Dawn.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where this actually fits, but both of these proposals tonight are back to back and or next to each other. And we have received correspondence from some of the neighbors who are not in favor of that, which, believe it or not, we get that all the time. So I know these are each their own individual case, I don't know who am I talking to, Carrie or Garrett, but the fact that we're trying to deal with both of these at the same time.
No, we're dealing with one at a time.
Okay, well, in 10 minutes, we're gonna be dealing with the other one.
That's fair. 10 minutes.
So do we? I mean, Carrie, yours seems to be quite in order and taking care of the wetlands, especially in that kind of way. I think that's kind of your success in that way. It's just, it's gonna be quite a change in that neighborhood, in that part of town. So that's not a question, that's a comment.
Okay. Thank you, Dawn, for your comment. Eric?
I'll follow up on your question about the walkway. So in the proposed, the recommended conditions for approval, there are these 3 items. I understand your point. How does it get decided as to, is he required to follow A, B, or C? Yeah. So the option of just a pedestrian walk, like we have on Cottage, kind of a bike lane with the paint and stripe and no bollards or curbs or landscaping, that is not an option for them.
But it is wider there too.
Cottages.
Yeah.
We're making that
wider.
comparison. Okay, so it's because of the,
And it's probably been there under, zoning laws.
sure.
Already been
Right,
changed through.
But that's not
But it is
that's
wider.
not an option for him here.
According to what the city staff report says.
Okay.
And so we put it in there as a condition and they work it out.
they, the builder,
Mr.
the
Johnson.
developer and.
Mr. Sweet.
Okay.
And they work it out. Yes.
I have a question, this may be for Garrett. If the planning commission were to decide that, widening our roadway and delineating that with a stripe, as we propose, is that an option for me? Or is there anything that would prohibit that?
Sorry, it's hard to see. Is it a planning commissioner that's asking the question? I just want to make sure.
Yes, I was.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Johnson is actually phrasing the question to you.
Right. I
Okay.
understand. Okay, so the code has conflicting standards that are each clear and objective, and like the appeal proof path forward is to give them the choice between those. It's like relatively defensible. If you want to let them use their proposal, and we don't have, nobody's commented on that. It could be like potentially more vulnerable to appeal from someone that doesn't want that to happen and that wants there to be a pedestrian pathway, or that wants to throw a wrench in the gears of the whole proposal, right? Because you'd be approving something that like the code doesn't say that that's what's okay. The code says like it provides clear guidance on what's okay. But I would understand if you wanted to do that. I won't get in your way, and I'll work to defend your decision. Absolutely. We all want to be reasonable.
But it puts at risk the potential for an appeal just based on that.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's testifying though, and you have to be a party to
Right.
the hearing or the decision to appeal. So.
Do you have your answer?
Oh, excuse me, are you saying that it would be worked out by Chad and Leonard? If we make no decision, then they would make the call.
Well, what I understand is that right now in our city standards, Mr. Johnson has three choices. And those are like only three choices that are listed. He is suggesting another choice, widening the road, therefore leaving more space for cars to go. I assume that's what you're talking, cars to pass each other and someone to walk safely on the road. Is that what
I think
you're-
there's still room for cars to pass each other and have people in a pedestrian walkway to walk safely.
Yeah.
So that's-
And I can only address it from living where I live, that we do not have any walkways, we have nothing, and it is a hazard. It is dangerous at times to walk there because nothing is delineated or anything like that. So I think that's what it's trying to provide, to prevent the, the safety thing. I don't know. I mean, this is something we can discuss. We can discuss, Garrett, right?
Yeah, you can discuss it, and you
Okay.
can modify the condition or remove the condition if you
Okay.
choose to.
Okay, okay. Does that answer everyone's question? No, you still have another question, Russ?
Well, I guess, yeah, to answer the question, I guess, to me, it just seems like we're taking whatever that stretch of highway is for 5 miles through your heart. We're taking a 200-foot thing, so now we're gonna make this safe.
Well, it's the private road to make it safe.
But isn't it where it hits 101?
It's the whole length of where it goes beside the houses.
Perpendicular.
Along the front of the home, say.
Oh, I see, that's what we're talking about.
Yes.
I got you. Okay.
Okay, so we need to still hear from proponents and opponents to this before we go.
Yeah, I would say if sorry, I'll interject. If you want to, there's a provision in Article 4 that could support you waiving the requirement based on the fact that it doesn't connect to other pedestrian improvements and is not scheduled to there's not like scheduled pedestrian improvements that this would connect to in the foreseeable future. And so that would be your finding. That would be the finding we work into the staff report to make your decision defensible if you do it. And yeah, it's a question of, you know, at some point in the past, decision makers must have thought, we want to try to make safer pedestrian connections around the city. And we do that at least incrementally. We chip away at it as development occurs, right? But there is a provision in Article 4 under transportation improvements that provides for waivers of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, are we good?
I have one more
Yes,
question,
Eric.
Terry. So, I don't know if you know this or not, Carrie, but it says, at grade physical separations such as bollards. But such as bollards, and what about just, you know, little round things that delineate something really simple that actually would make it a little safer for pedestrians too, because it would alert a driver that they're encroaching. But it's not a big bollard. I can't see a curb. Those can be a danger to the driver. But just some little, roadway marker might be simple and safe for something worth considering. And I don't know who makes that final decision, what a bollard or like a bollard is.
But my commissioner hasn't thought of that. That may be a possibility to do something like that. When I think of a bollard, I think of something that's 3 feet tall and 6 inches around that it wipe out your car if you hit it. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping
No,
that
but it says at grade, so I'm picturing something just smaller, but just a bump in the road.
could
basically.
be. Yeah.
That's what, all right.
All right, okay,
Good.
good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We will come back to you.
All right.
Now, are there any proponents? Is that Eric?
Huvestal.
I'm sorry. Are you a proponent for this particular?
I'm the client's engineer.
Would you like to testify?
I
If you would like to testify, you need to stand up, give me your name and your full address. I am sorry, it's tape recorded, so it has to be all on there. No, you do not want to talk.
I'll go briefly.
Okay. State your name and your address, sorry.
My name is Eric Huvestal. I live at 42190 Northwest Woodman Avenue in Banks, Oregon. I'm the client's engineer. Just to we're in agreement with the conditions as written, including the amendment that was served us tonight. And we think we're pretty much good to go. That's all I have.
That's fine, thank you, thank you. Do I have any opponents to it? Do I have any people that just want to have neutral comments? Never figured that out. Is there anything else that you would like to say, Mr. Johnson? Okay, then I close the public hearing. It is now time for discussion, for us to come to a decision. As Garrett said, we have a list of conditions at the end of the report. He has recommended adopting this proposal with the different conditions. So now it's time for discussion. So Don, you know, I always start with you.
Thank you.
But I think, Garrett, thank you for this report. Carrie, thank you for your proposal. I think I agree with Eric and Russ that the walkway is the one thing. I guess I'm just curious, like, what is, you were referring to Cottage Lane, which has that stripe
Cottage Lane to me is wider than,
wider. Do we know the dimensions of?
no,
How big that is?
but I am absolutely sure that Mr. Sweet will be able to tell you
Okay,
within minutes.
as compared to the proposal of, Earhart Gardens Lane.
I'm sure he'll be able to tell you.
45 north frontage avenue with the the bicycle lane.
And that, how big is the bicycle lane? 8 feet?
10.
10 feet.
And this one is proposed to be. I'm looking. It looks like it's proposed to be 20 feet.
20 feet blacktop, 35-foot of easement.
Right, but the blacktop is what we're talking about specifically.
Oh, actually.
The easement's there for the utility, for that, but not for the walkway. Right, Chad, it's paved, cottage is that far paved,
45.
45 feet. Okay.
So that's half, less than half. I guess I'm more interested in what the other commissioners had to say about that. I think the bollards sticking up out of the ground, like you said, seem to be more of a hazard for everyone. So I guess I would just leave it to hear what you all have to say about that. Thank you.
Eric?
No, I'm not a road engineer, so it leaves me to not feel necessarily qualified to make decisions on how to make it safe for drivers and safe for pedestrians. I guess, we have a code, we have 3 suggestions here. I'm leaving the road issue for the moment. I support the project. I think it meets our comprehensive plan. I know that neighbors nearby would rather not see development in their area, but we have a need for housing. We have buildable land. It meets all the requirements. I heard how it's recommended it, and based on those things, I would be in agreement with that. I don't have any other issues. And the question about the road, like a bumper strip, little round things to warn people, I don't know, but I don't know the width of, again, not being literally a road safety engineer, I don't really know how much width you're supposed to have to make it safe for 2-way traffic and somebody walking. So until we get some more, authoritative information on that, I'm abstain from making an opinion on the road.
Great.
Thank you. Yeah, I fully support the plan as well. And I'm concerned about going down the road of looking at various options for the walkway at this point. We do have 3 options with an ordinance that they've reviewed and are aware of, and I'm comfortable with those. I also believe that they also allow for at some point in the future, which may not be defined, that walkway could then integrate with the transportation system plan whenever we do get to the point of redeveloping 101 and having hopefully bike lanes and walkways in 101, whenever that happens. But so I hesitate on making a decision without having any clear proposals here of potential variances or things like that for the walkway itself. So they already have 3 options available, which is in accordance with the ordinances, and I support those.
Thank you. Russ?
Yeah, I just see the reality of that community. It's like a lot of the streets in Gerhart. We have 20-foot blacktop on most of them with a larger easement or overall easement. And I don't see why people can't just walk on a gravel apron. And realistically, people are going to be parking, off the blacktop within the easement in front of these houses. So I just think putting a lot of different, bollards or the vegetation is out. Then it means water to keep the vegetation alive, which seems like you're just, that's not a viable option to me. So I don't see why we just let it be. It's 7 blocks. Let people walk on the apron next to the blacktop.
All right, thank you, Jennifer.
I fully support the plan. We need housing. It looks like it's been sensitively and thoroughly planned to meet all of the ordinance requirements. The access road is not a through road as Cottage is. I think the options can be worked out, and I'm going to vote for approval.
Yeah, I can address what you've said, Russ. I know people in our neighborhood have the grass right next to the paved road. And the easement does not mean it stays gravel. It can be planted in bushes right up to in that easement, so. Yeah, but I mean, there's grass and you can still have drainage with having bushes or whatever. So yeah, I kind of agree that it's not a place to make that decision, go outside of the three proposals. We would hope, I think we all would like to see something worked out, because I think we all think that it'd be nice to have some more housing. It's just an empty, bare field, as far as I can tell. So, anything else? Then, do I have, yes, I'm sorry, Chang.
And I'm sorry, this just came up, and Carrie, I'm sorry I didn't get a hold of you before this on this one. The apron where it connects into Highway 101, is that gonna be all paved? I know that there's been challenges in the past with ODOT and approving some sort of apron. Is there a plan for that to be?
It's my hope to have it paved right to 101. That we will have a meeting with ODOT and it should be.
Versus a stretch of gravel at that location where cars are trying to get in and out, that can be pretty dangerous when trying to get.
It'll be paved.
And the plan says paved road all the way, so, and Mr. Johnson will still need to get approval from ODOT to come out on 101.
Yes.
Anyway, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about. I know that can be challenging. So we was just wanting to make sure that we didn't end up with something that was half paved and then had an entrance that was gravel onto Highway 101, which is tough in a car.
Yeah, no, ODOT will be reviewing all the construction plans and same much the city will be reviewing and, to get our approach permit from ODOT.
Okay, so do I have a motion? Yes, great.
Chair, I move to approve file number 26-03-SD, the tentative plan for the Gerhardt Garden subdivision based on the findings in the August 6, 2026 staff report as supplemented by the August 13, 2026 addendum and subject to the recommended conditions of approval in the August 6, 2026 staff report, with condition number 8 replaced by the condition set forth in this addendum.
Thanks. Do I have a second? Thank you, Don. Any further discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. All right, so there you are, Jonathan. If you would like to, if you would like to, you do not need to stay if you'd like to leave. So, yeah, I will move on to, space second. Public hearing on file 26-04-SP subdivision request for property located at Hello Lane, further described as tax map 61003 BD, tax lot 3600. The request is to subdivide the existing 2.05 acre parcel into 8 lots in the R1 low density residential zone. Garrett.
All right. So, as you can tell, this proposal is for a subdivision adjacent to the one that you just heard. This subdivision would be accessed from Helila Lane, which is a county-owned road. Like the one we just heard, only clear and objective standards can be applied to the decision. The final result of this proposal would be 8 lots. rather than 7. So we have 1 current lot and the final result would be 8. There is one finding that resulted in our staff report recommending denial, and I'll discuss options for your decision more on that in a little bit. But the basic facts of that finding are that when you subtract the area of the easements and the wetland from the total lot area, 8 lots results in a net density that's greater than 4 dwelling units per acre. You have a similar R1 zone compliance table on about page 4 of the staff report that goes through the calculation. And that calculation assumes the applicant's delineated wetland boundary, which is smaller than the city's local wetland inventory boundary. So even with the delineated boundary, you can't get under 4 dwelling units per acre. And even if the entire wetland was discounted from the decision or from the calculation, just the easements being subtracted from that lot area would result in a net density of greater than 4 dwellings per acre. So it's a tough one to get around without some substantial changes or a variance. And that resulted in a recommendation of denial. Everything else in the staff report would result in a recommendation of approval with conditions. For example, regarding the wetland delineation, the applicant's done a delineation and their site plan would not involve grading, fill, or vegetation removal, as long as that delineation does get approved by DSL before final plat approval. They're proposing 3 driveways that would access Helila Lane. And Clatsop County has provided comments on how those accesses would connect, and those are reflected in the conditions of approval. Let's see what else. We have conditions from the fire department regarding sprinklering of the southernmost lots. And their explanation of that is that if the driveway widths are going to be as narrow as they are proposed currently, then sprinklering basically it enables those driveways to be that narrow. Let's see what else. On this one, staff are recommending waiving the standard roadway width and pedestrian walkway requirements of Article 4 because they are not going to connect to any planned improvements. We're not aware of any actual improvements that are proposed for Helila Lane by Clatsop County. And unlike US 101, which actually someday there's planned improvements there. For Helila Lane, there are no planned improvements on the south side of the street in the city's transportation plan, and the county does not have plans for pedestrian improvements on the south side of Helila Lane either. Each of the driveways also serves fewer dwellings. So that was a consideration that went into it. So for this one, no proposed bicycle or pedestrian improvements are recommended on Helila or on the driveways. On Helila, we don't have like a mechanism for requiring that in a clear and objective manner either, because it's county owned. Okay, so moving on. Those were the main issues that we encountered. You'll see some lengthy discussion about a standard from Article 4 that requires 25-foot frontage of all lots on a street. And we have a variety of definitions and standards that we provided in the staff report, along with an explanation of why the driveways satisfy the definition of street and why they have 25 feet of frontage on them. But just wanted to highlight that was sort of an abnormal situation there. So I think the applicant has some ideas they want to review in their presentation regarding that 4 dwelling unit per acre net density issue, and I am gonna stop here and see if you have any questions for me, and I think there'll be some more discussion probably after they present.
Questions for Garrett?
Oh.
Yes. You
Yeah,
didn't
there's
stop.
something, I'm sorry, there's something I wanted to say. So I just wanted to remind you that under Oregon land use laws, we're required to make a final decision on land use applications within 120 days of the day that they're deemed complete. And in that regard, a hearing continuance would put us in some extra jeopardy of not having a final decision within the 120-day deadline. Oftentimes a hearing continuance is a solution to some matter of non-compliance in an application, right? So if the applicant, if after your discussion tonight, the applicant provides you with a deadline extension of at least 30 days, then I would say we would no longer be in jeopardy related to the 120-day deadline. So it's just something I'm flagging and paying attention to as we go on in the discussion, that a hearing continuance could be a solution, hearing continuance to September 9th, if some kind of extension like that is provided. So, but that's up to the applicant if they want to do that, and they'll provide their presentation to you now, I think, after you ask me questions.
It's September 10th is the next meeting. So questions for Garrett, you, Jennifer, yes.
Yes, so Garrett, I'm hearing you say that the applicant has not received a approval of their wetland delineation yet. But even if they did, just the access is enough to put them out of the approved density requirement, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions for Garrett? I had a question. If for something like this, how long would it take for them to get approval? For this delineation?
Several months is common. So, that would be reasonable to have a condition of approval, and that they get that approved, that they get the wetland delineation approval done, and they could be back within a year for the final subdivision approval.
Okay, and in your report, it even says the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has to be consulted or whatever. Is that correct?
Yeah, so if the applicant, the applicant is required to get any required permits that are required by the Army Corps of Engineers or any other agency. But there's no like if they're going to develop near a wetland, they should consult with the Army Corps of Engineers. The city is required to send a wetland land use notice to the Oregon Department of State Lands, and we did that. And their response was basically, if you're going to impact the wetland, then you need to get a permit from us. But there's no comment or anything that the Army Corps would say that would result in like a clear and objective standard that we would apply to the decision right now. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just never seen U.S. Army Corps of Engineers before. I'm going, oh, really? Okay. Any other questions for Garrett? Nothing. Okay. It is time for the applicant to speak. If you would please give us your full name and address, please.
My name is Joel Lucia. My primary address is in Manning, Oregon at 49090 Hayward Road. I also have a resident here in Seaside, Oregon as well. I spend a lot of time in here. So with that, I guess I also, you know that I've been in construction my entire life. And I've built several homes down here. I haven't developed any property in this county or this area, but I have built 5 or 6 homes down here. I've got family down here, and I'm probably here most of the week sometimes, at times. And from here on out, we've also, we've hired Eric to go ahead and design this project for us. And he'll be answering any questions that you guys would like to ask for our subdivision.
Okay.
So,
do you have anything additional to give us that is perhaps not included in the report, or anything that Garrett has said to us that you wanted to address?
no, I'm fine. Eric will be taking care
Okay.
of all that.
All right, cool. All right,
Okay.
thank you. All right.
Okay.
May I introduce myself as well? Sorry, my camera. I'm also.
Just wait. We don't know, our IT person was not aware you were going to speak. Thank you for speaking. I don't think it's important. Where are you at? Who is speaking?
This is Ira Lucia.
Ira in the upper right.
Okay, Ira, are you part of the applicant?
Yes, I am.
Okay, because Eric, I will address it to you. Who would you like to speak first for you?
I'd like to have my son Ira
Oh, okay,
introduce himself. And
okay,
Eric will be helping us out with any questions.
okay, that's what I need to know, thank you.
Yeah.
So Ira, you need to, give us your full name and address, for our record, please, and then you may speak.
Okay, thank you. My name is Ira Lucia. My address is 29735 Northwest Scotch Church Road in Hillsboro, Oregon.
Okay,
And I apologize, my camera is not working this evening, but I did want to thank you for your time this evening. One thing I did want to mention, excuse me, was within regards to the wetlands delineation. We have submitted the delineation to DSL about 3 weeks ago, so we've already got that process started.
okay. Anything else?
No, I'll hand it over to Eric now. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, Eric, would you like to speak? And I will ask you, I'm sorry, to give your name and your address again.
No problem. I'm Eric Hubstall, the applicant's engineer. And my name is Eric Hubstall, if I already said that. And my address is 42190 Northwest Woodman Avenue, Banks, Oregon, 97106.
Thank you.
And again, I thank you guys for your time on this. We appreciate the commissioners and Garrett's assistance helping direct us with some kind of complicated items. But overall, this is a good subdivision. And I just want to reiterate that at this stage, there's always, this isn't like the permit we will start building tomorrow. Everything we do has to go through another level of city review, ODOT review, plan review, county plan review, where the details of the construction drawings are formulated. So this isn't the final. Like you were saying, I'm not an engineer. I don't know how to. I can't make a call on this. That was very good for a commissioner to say that. So I just want to say that this isn't the final. There's more reviews down the road coming up. So it's not just we get a free walk out of this meeting and start to rip up ground. There's a lot more permits that need to get put in place, and things that will be submitted to the fire marshal for review. Things will be submitted to the building department for review, building official. So all those reviews are upcoming. this is a kind of a big picture land use type of decision we're looking at tonight. So we're in agreement with most of the staff report, and we appreciate Garrett's diligence in preparing a very good staff report. The first item I'd like to address is the density issue, which is a major biggie because and there were several options. We could apply for a variance. We could try to buy property from the neighbor, which ended up being 45 feet, by the way. I didn't think Carrie would be game for that. To decrease the density. And the one option, the simplest option that we have chosen is just to combine these two lots on the east side. See what lot numbers were those? 4 and 5. We just want to combine those into one lot. So we would be asking the commissioners to add a condition of approval to say something, Garrett could probably come up with better wording, fancier wording than me. But something to the effect of applicant will combine lots 4 and 5 into one lot. Done. And then our density is only, I think it was 3.4. Is it 3.2 or 3.4? Anyway, it's well below the 4 threshold. So that's our solution to that, and we would request the commissioners to add a condition of approval to it, and just kind of mandating that that's what we're going to do, and then we have to live within that framework in producing our final plat and construction plans and all that stuff. So that's that item, which I think is fairly straightforward and simple. Then moving into the conditions, condition number 4. And condition number 4, I just want to give everybody a second to read it, or I could have got out of the line. So what we would like to do with this is defer this to the building official and the fire marshal. We were unable to, at least I was unable to get a hold of the fire marshal this week. I don't know if you were successful, Chad.
In regards to
these fire turnarounds and the sprinkling and all that. Okay.
I'm gonna have to do something, so keep going.
Okay, well, anyway, what this gets at is the city's code for the end of a street was supposed to have a hammerhead or some type of cul-de-sac turnaround. These are driveways and they're less than 150 feet, and the fire code is if it's dead end more than 150 feet, you have to have a place for the fire trucks to turn around. 50-foot radius circle or a fire hammerhead turnout, like was shown on the previous application tonight, Kerry Johnson's Gerard Gardens. And that's just really not feasible on these lots back here. It just takes up too much real estate. These are driveways / streets. You know, I mean, you can look at them in one way, they're a street, and that was used for the 25-foot minimum frontage. Garrett argued that the easements and the driveways would suffice for the minimum 25-foot to a street access. In this case, we're calling it more of a driveway to get away from the city requirement that says that the end of the roadway shall terminate in a circular or hammerhead turnaround. So what we are asking is in condition number 4 to delete the term terminates in a circular or hammerhead turnaround, but will still meet the fire code, and the matter shall be deferred to the fire marshal and the building official during construction plan review. I don't know if I did a good job on that, but
I think we understood what you were saying.
so we'd like to defer that to where we can have some time to sit down with the building officials and talk about that. We don't. I can tell you a guarantee, the fire code says if it's less than 150 feet, you don't need a turn. On the other hand, the city code, if you call these the street, which I call them a driveway, glorified driveway, then you don't need a turnaround at the end of it. So with that, what we would like is for the commissioners to modify condition number 4 to say that this will be deferred to the building and fire marshal.
Anything else?
Does anyone have any questions on that? That was kind of complicated.
It wasn't,
I think I made it more complicated.
No, it's okay. We're all highly intelligent people. Garrett, I can't sit here and do the math to figure out whether 7 lots on the amount of acreage they have falls into the acceptable category. I am sure you can do it a lot quicker than I can.
Yeah, so it doesn't, and
It doesn't.
Eric and Ira and Joel, I apologize for not actually doing the math when we met with you 2 days ago. And we discussed that as a potential solution, but by my math, you actually need to get down to 5 lots to just have a straight up compliance with the 4 dwelling unit per acre maximum. And I encourage anyone to, do it in the room there if you want, but it's the
No, that's what I was getting to. That's why I thought I was doing it wrong.
I thought I did it and it came out.
the denominator is 1.36 acres when you subtract the easements and the wetlands. So you can,
The only way we can come out is to 5.
Yeah. And then, so, if that's correct, then, perhaps a variance addresses it. That would be a separate decision following an application and a public hearing, which could be done as early as September if we get an application tomorrow. And the R1 zone requires 10,000 square foot minimum lots, and if you don't have a wetland in your property in the R1 zone, you can get a lot closer to at least what they're proposing. So that's sort of like a unique condition on their property. I don't want to, I don't want to have the hearing on a variance right now, but I'm just saying it's conceivable or credible to propose that kind of thing, at least, and have a discussion about it in a hearing. And I think on the fire requirements, given the net density issue and that you shouldn't approve that tonight, I think it would be worthwhile for us to get a little more coordination with the fire chief and just make sure exactly what the combination is that they'd be comfortable with. And we could wrap that into a continued subdivision hearing as well if the applicant wants to provide a timeline extension. So.
Okay, so that's my first question. The other question is that in someplace in here in your report, that a private roadway going into the middle lots 2, 3, 2, 3, 7, and 6. But going into 1 and 8, or what is now 4 and 5, but would be like 4.5, I don't know. As private driveways, are they private driveways or are they private streets? Or can be that was confusing to me in your staff report.
Yeah, it was a challenge for me to work out also. So Article 4, and it was worked out primarily in relation to the 25-foot frontage standard. It's the first standard in Article 4 of our zoning ordinance that says that every lot has to front on a street for 25 feet. So at first glance, I thought, well, these don't they don't all front on a street for 25 feet. Halila Lane is over there, and 4 of the lots don't front on it. But let me check our definitions, is what I said. Let's check the definitions and see if these are streets. And our definitions are a bit all over the map. And given that we're supposed to operate under clear and objective standards, it's like the benefit of the doubt goes to the applicant on that in my view. And so street is defined as a private way in the subdivision ordinance. And those are private ways. Private way is not defined, but those are private ways. So it's like, okay, so they're streets because a street is defined as a private way in the subdivision ordinance. And now here we are at this other standard where it says that you have to do a hammerhead or a cul-de-sac on a street. And it's like, oh, shoot, it's pretty clear to me that this standard is meant to implement the fire code. I don't think there's like an aesthetic reason or a Gearhart character reason for requiring turnarounds and hammerheads on streets. But for some reason, the code felt the need to specify that one part of the fire code for streets, that it really called out the hammerhead and the turnaround. And so, we're trying to be as clear and objective as we can. So we just follow through and say that's what's required. If the fire chief says that that's not required and we don't get testimony with like technical information contesting the fire chief in a credible way, then it's not something it's not something that I would say like, yeah, we need to like hold to these words in GSO 3810C about circular hammerhead turnarounds. If it's being addressed if the fire chief says it's going to be addressed through sprinkling and whatever other methods are appropriate for implementing the fire code, that would be okay with us. But the fire chief has not been as available as normal lately, fighting fires. And as long as we have this other fundamental density issue, I don't think the turnaround issue needs to be resolved tonight until we just double check with the fire chief.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So, yes, great.
I have a couple questions. The first, if I may, is related to the fire chief alternative design. And I wanted to find out maybe from both of you, it seems to me that under the condition number 4, that gives the applicant the chance at the construction plan stage to either, one, have a design that meets the city ordinance, or have approval of an alternative design from the fire chief. And by the fire chief, you're using fire marshal or building officials, I think, as interchangeably. But I just wanted, it seems to me that alternative 4 has that flexibility to allow for approval of an alternative design that may not require a turnaround or a hammerhead. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, that's true. So that's true. The condition already provides for an alternative approval from the fire chief. That's right.
Okay. So there is no need then to redo the condition, because that option is already included within that within that condition.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I mean, unless the applicant's, does somehow wants you to decide in place of the fire chief that,
Well,
removed, but.
It depends on what the or is the or approved alternative design to the uniform fire code, or is the or applicable to the private roadway terminates in circular hammerhead? Depends on the grammar there.
And I'm reading that as, or you obtain approval of an alternative design from the fire chief, which gives you the flexibility to not comply with the city ordinance, but you would have a separate design that is different, that this fire chief says is okay because of this short distance.
I mean, if that's everybody's understanding of that condition, we could leave it as is.
Well, that's our understanding, and that would be part of the minutes. So if anyone would question what was the intention, it would be there.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, okay, that's great. Let Greg finish up.
Okay, my second question has to do with the density, and I understand we're looking at the denominator is 1.36, but I also understand that if we're changing and combining lots, the denominator changes. We no longer have the same length of the easements or access easements, so that denominator will change. So I am curious to see what the new calculus would be, and I'm hoping that we'll have an opportunity to just request or see if an extension, a deadline extension could be granted, so we could see what the new denominator would be given the change in design of having lots, say 4 and 5 combined and 3 and 6 combined, for instance. That changes the amount of easement that's being deducted from the original acreage. So you're gonna have a new net acreage denominator to make the calculus for it. I mean, 7, you have to have 1.75 net acres, so that's still quite a bit. 1.5 for 6, so we're still got a ways to go to get there, so.
Anything else?
That was,
Okay, Eric, you had some?
Well, I would just confirm that my understanding of condition 4,
Mhm.
either you have circular the hammerhead or shall obtain approval of an alternative design. So for intention, I'm thinking, I would think that would be sufficient. And getting back to the density thing, Garrett, did you actually make a calculation based on combining lots 4 and 5, and what would the density be there based on your calculation?
And that would remove that one easement too.
Yeah, I haven't done the calculation with a removal of the eastern easement. I mean, that
Okay.
is, yeah, we can do the calculation in the meeting, and if it somehow meets the standard, then math is objective enough. You could approve that tonight, but it's not enough, I don't think. But go ahead, it's also up to the applicant to provide that kind of information usually. So I'll let them try to present it.
Quick, how fast are you on the calculator? I'm not sure it could add a half acre though. That's how much it'd have to be added back in for 7.
Right.
yeah.
To get it.
And that's quite a bit. Any other questions for the applicant from anyone? Okay. Do you have anything else you would like to add tonight?
I think we're good.
Okay. So I'll close the public hearing. It's now time for discussion amongst the commissioners. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot that. The public hearing is not closed. Angelina, sorry, I made a mistake. I forgot to give proponents. Are there any proponents?
I would like to speak on.
Then you need to introduce yourself, please, then. Give me your name and address and you didn't sign in.
I didn't sign in, my apologies for that. I wasn't-
Yes, yes. I forgot which one you're in. Okay.
Again, I'm Kerry Johnson. I live at 92080 John Day River Road. I am a neighborhood property owner to this piece of property. And I want to thank you for your time this evening. I'm also a planning commissioner with Clatsop County. I'm the vice chair. I've been on the planning commission for over 10 years. I don't quite understand the net density requirement. There's a lot of other subdivisions that don't have a net density requirement where you would lose density due to easements and wetlands occurring on your property. So I'm not exactly sure how that calculation works. However, I think it is possible to move this ahead through a condition that would just mandate that they meet the net density requirements, and they can move their lot lines accordingly to meet that requirement. So I think it's possible to move things ahead if you so choose, if they make the adjustments with the property lines to meet the net density without significantly changing their subdivision design. So that was my thoughts on that. I support the application. I think it's going to be a good fit for the neighborhood, and I would hope that it'll be approved at some point. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your input. Any other proponents? Any opponents? Any neutral? I will now close the public hearing. I apologize for that. So we have it in front of it. You have the recommendation from the staff. You have heard different viewpoints, something for us to think about. I will start with you, Don. Oh, and we do have the letter, don't forget, we have the correspondence from the person talking about increasing the traffic.
First off, Carrie, thank you for your service as the Clatsop County Planning Commission Vice Chair. That was not the easiest job. I do appreciate that. I also have talked to a few.
He's also a vice chair.
What?
Vice President.
Vice Chair Emeritus.
President.
We're everywhere.
We have presidents, we don't have chairs.
A lot of vice go.
A lot of vice. Don't make me lose my thought. I also chatted with a few professionals in this area, and they also were curious how we did come up with our acre common net calculation. And per that rule or law or ordinance, this does not fit that. Our rule, is it an ordinance? Is it a rule? Is it, I'm not even sure what that is. What would we call that thing? That calculation.
As far as the GZO.
But nonetheless, so if maybe we did want to revisit that in the future, that's something, but as it stands today, what it is we're at obviously 1.36, which my calculation equals 5 lots. But what I would like to see is definitely if you, Mr. Lucia, can check in with the fire chief and see what his expectation is and suggestion. Then I also know you guys have reached out to DSL for a new delineation, and if that comes back in a certain way, I think that's something we want to know. I'm not really comfortable with any sort of approval or conditions without a new plan. A new one of these, which would have all of that, the new lot combination without the driveway or however that is. I think that would be important for us to see, which includes the comments from the fire chief and DSL when that happens. So that's just kind of where I have figured out from there.
Thank you, Don. Eric?
I guess I would echo what Don just said. We have the ordinance on the density, and we can't change that. So some way or other, I think we're gonna have to find a way to fit in there. however you can do it. Um, As far as the logistics of whether we extend this hearing or we start over, I don't know how much burden that puts on you and costs involved perhaps and things like that. I guess we can get into how to deal with the timing of it all. But I feel compelled to have to say that I have to agree that we have to deny based on the density issue because I don't see a way around it right now.
Thank you, Eric. Greg?
I'm likewise concerned with the density requirements and not meeting those. I would support the hearing continuance if the applicant would support a deadline extension and believes that they can come back with modifications to the plan that would include compliance with our density requirements. Otherwise, I would support the plan, and I don't feel I would need to have a determination from the fire chief, since that's something that would happen separately outside of this approval process.
Thank you. Russ?
Yeah, I agree with everything we've been talking about, and that, to me, the wetlands, if that has been determined, that affects the net calculation, if we're gonna presume that your heart's density calc is part of the way we run business. So the wetland needs to be determined, and as you mentioned, if lots change, if lots combine, roadways become, they go back into on the plus side of your calc. So I guess the question I have is, if you guys do an extension, does that just mean we're sitting and waiting for them to reapply, or the application is in limbo until they come back to us?
We can decide to have a continuance and come back September 6th, and 10th, excuse me, and with new information. To check out that density thing, and these things that we don't have a firm grasp of. We can do that. That would be one. If we can just deny it outright. And I mean, the only other thing.
But
So
what's your, if we deny it outright, doesn't that mean they have to put this, they can't come back for a certain period of time? Isn't there a time factor on a denial?
Well, the first thing that they could do if we denied it is that they could then go to the city council.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, they would appeal to city council if they want to appeal a denial.
Okay. But the extension keeps it within the planning.
You explained that, and I heard what you said, but I want to verify. If we had a continuance, if we went to September 10th, that means that they would need to have additional information in tomorrow?
Well, the idea is that we would process a variance hearing. We'd have a variance hearing on September 10th and the continued subdivision hearing on September 10th if they submit the variance application tomorrow. The variance application is 1 page and it's not, super complicated to fill out. It's just a question of, it's up to them if they want to do that or not. And you can provide a continuance of this hearing. That's totally like at your discretion. It's just that staff would not recommend doing so unless they provide the city with a 30-day extension to the decision deadline.
All right, and
they
would
can do
have
that. They can hand that to you right now on a piece of paper, or they can email it to me right now, and I can tell you that I received it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question? All right. Jen?
I can only support a continuance, hoping that the applicant will amend their what they're submitting to us to answer the questions about density, fire, and wetlands.
Yes, so the question goes back to you, Joan. Would you be willing to give a 30-day extension?
Yes, yes, we would, and, Ira was gonna send an email if this item came up today.
Okay.
We've received
So
the
you have something
extension.
in writing.
Okay, we've received the extension.
Oh, you received it. You guys are quick.
Okay.
That Ira, he's the sharp.
Well, we had a hunch this is where this might end. We're hoping not to. That's fine.
Yeah, so we've heard from everyone. So do I have a motion to continue the hearing to the September 10th, 2026 meeting?
Yes.
Continues of this public hearing. Do I have a motion? Great.
I move to continue this item until the September 10th, 2026 meeting.
Greg has moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
And Jennifer's second to continue the hearing to September 10th, 2026. Is that done correctly, Garrett?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I have one question,
Yes,
just
sir.
in case it's not in tomorrow, if can we extend another extension and another continuation, if it just takes more time?
Yes.
Garrett says it's
Up to 215 days worth of extensions can be
Yes.
provided. And while I have the mic, I would say that staff's recommendation would be that you do not need the DSL approved delineation to make a decision on the variance in the subdivision in September. And you won't have the delineation response from DSL by then, but that can be addressed through conditioning, we think. And you can make a reasonable and defensible decision without DSL's approval at that time.
yes, Eric.
So I just want to be clear, the discussion about a variance, is that conjecture that we might be presented with a variance request?
No,
Or what's the issue of a variance? Why are we talking about a variance now?
If the applicant requests a variance for for having 8 dwellings on this property, 8 lots for 8 dwellings on the property, we will review the variance decision criteria in that hearing. And, as you heard from Mr. Johnson, I'll also say, I mean, I don't like, it's very difficult for anyone to meet the 4 dwelling unit per net acre standard under the way our code is written. Like a variance is a reasonable thing for us to talk about, if they apply for it. So it sounds like they're going to apply for one. It's something we've discussed with them in recent days. And if they do, we'll have a hearing in September. If they don't apply for one, you'll have to open the subdivision hearing on September 10th and find that, there's still no variance that's been approved. And I don't know, we'll take it from there, but I think you're about to get a variance application.
Does that become a separate procedure than this than this?
it's continued.
Or is it folded into this?
We can have a combined, we'll have the variance, we'll have the variance hearing before we reopen the subdivision hearing. It's basically the same thing, but I don't know. I can look into whether we can combine it to save the chair having to read the formalities before each one and make people testify and come up twice, for example, and deal with them at once. But it's a unique set of decision criteria for a variance.
Okay, and you were talking about variance in the sense of the density or variance in changing the proposed density that's there right now? I mean, is that what you're talking about?
It would be that the applicant can come back with their same site plan they have today and
Yeah.
requesting a variance decision from the city that would, you'd have to make findings that this isn't gonna, that the variance isn't gonna result in, for example, like undue impacts to neighboring properties, and that there's some unique circumstances related to this property that are causing them to have to apply for a variance. And
Or-
then you make
okay.
a decision on it. Or they could come back with a 5-lot subdivision and no variance application.
Okay.
Or they could come back with a 7-lot subdivision application, but they still need a variance for that.
Okay, okay. So the applicant has a couple of choices to make.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you. That clarifies it for me. Anyone else have any questions, discussion? We have a motion to continue the public hearing to September 10th, 2026. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed say no. All right, thank you. So you know what you need to do and who to contact, and this will be interesting for us. So thank you for your patience tonight, and we hope to see you next month. We have no unfinished business. We have no new business. I don't think we have any information or discussion. Do we have any concerns of the commission? Yes, Don.
Gary, can you tell us what else is on the September agenda?
Yeah, on September 10th, we were going to have a bit of a work session to review the code amendment project proposals related to Goal 5 cultural areas, and housing, some code changes related to recent Oregon housing laws, and Goal 18 as well. And so we'll, adjust accordingly so that the night isn't too long. And we've also found some new facts that the reason that we wanted to get that project done by the end of the year doesn't feel like as much of a rush anymore, based on how we understand the state is implementing the Goal 5 cultural areas rule. So, we'll at least get started a little bit is the plan still, but.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other concerns of the commission? It is 7:50. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you for your patience and time tonight.
Thanks.
Yes.
Let's see, for Elliot. Yes. Yeah, that's fine.